First of all, I want to thank the subscribers of Boosty, VK Donut, and the private Telegram channel for their subscription. Thanks to you, all of this is possible, and the blog is released because of you. For those who haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to the private channels. There is a lot of interesting exclusive content, podcasts with specialists, reactions, and scripted videos. For example, a video about USAID and Vysotsky was recently released. In general, there's plenty to watch there, and we're starting. Salma Hayek, what a beauty. She's 58 years old, but she looks absolutely stunning. I mean, she looks simply amazing, don't you agree? And I showed her to you here not just for aesthetic pleasure. It seems obvious that being a beautiful person is very good. But why? And can we objectively say that one person is more beautiful than another? After all, among the billions of people on Earth, there are many attractive faces. These are people of different ages, races, and social statuses. How do we perceive their beauty? What can one do to get closer to the ideal? Who profits from this, and what does class theory have to do with it? In general, today we are discussing beauty and youth. And it's one foundation after another. Beauty is a powerful social factor that can open doors, influence perception, and even determine life trajectories. In science, this phenomenon is known as the beauty privilege or the attractiveness effect. Even studies show that people who are considered attractive often receive more advantages in various areas of life, from career to personal relationships. And it's true. Attractive candidates have a higher chance of being hired. This is related to the so-called halo effect, or the halo effect, where a positive impression of appearance is transferred to the perception of professional qualities. That is, I see a person, they are attractive, and it seems to me as if this beauty was given to them by God, that it's not just by chance that they are so cool and beautiful. This means that they are also a good person. And attractive people often receive higher ratings in interviews, are considered more competent, even if their skills are no different from less attractive candidates. And attractive people not only get jobs more often, but they can also earn more. Economists call this a beauty premium. A study conducted in the USA shows that people with above average attractiveness, according to subjective assessments, earn 10 to 15% more than their less attractive colleagues. And this effect is especially noticeable in professions where appearance plays an important role. Well, for example, in sales or media. In politics, attractive candidates usually receive 20% more votes than their less attractive opponents. And attractive people are likely to be perceived as intelligent, even if there is no correlation between appearance and actual intelligence. There is even an amusing study that shows unattractive criminals serve twice as long in prison as attractive ones. And in another study, 72% of hiring managers admitted that the candidate's appearance influenced their decision. 1 in 5 employers confessed that they rejected a job candidate solely because of their appearance. Attractive babies, mind you, this is not my wording, but a term used in the study received 50% more attention from their mothers compared to less attractive children. The work of Daniel Hammermesh and Jeff Biddle, published in 1994 in the American Economic Review, became one of the most cited and influential studies in the field of the economics of beauty, and initiated an entire direction in economics, examining how appearance affects wages and career opportunities. So, Hammermesh and Biddle posed the question, does physical attractiveness affect wage levels? And if so, by how much? They wanted to determine whether there is an objective link between a person's appearance and their economic success. And if so, what mechanisms underlie this phenomenon? The researchers conducted 2 large surveys. The first was an American study on workforce quality, which included men and women from various professions. The second was a Canadian study that provided additional data to verify the results of the first. Participants in the surveys were rated on their appearance on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is very unattractive and 5 is very attractive, like a supermodel. And the ratings were conducted by interviewers, which added objectivity, as they were unaware of the participants' income or professional achievements. The researchers compared the attractiveness ratings with salary data, taking into account factors such as education, work experience, profession, and gender. And to ensure that this beauty premium was not related to other factors, such as self-confidence or communication skills, the authors used statistical methods to isolate the impact of appearance. The results were impressive and statistically significant. Attractive people earned more. On average, people with an attractiveness rating of 4 or 5 earn 10 to 15% more than their colleagues with a rating of 3. that is average attractive people, and unattractive people earned less. That is, those with a rating of 1 or 2 earned 5 to 10% less than average people. That is a rating of 3. The effect was stronger for men, although a beauty premium was observed for both genders. But for men it was more pronounced. There are also professional differences. In professions where appearance plays an important role, such as sales, media, customer service, in other words, anything related to service, the effect was stronger. However, even in professions where appearance seemingly should not matter at all, such as engineers or scientists, attractive people still earned more. So why does a beauty premium exist? Hamermesh and Biddle proposed several explanations for this phenomenon. Firstly, they spoke about the halo effect for the first time. This is a phenomenon where attractive people are subconsciously perceived by us as more competent, intelligent, and reliable, even if this is not true. And this affects employers' decisions regarding hiring and promotions. Secondly, in professions where employees interact with clients, attractiveness, well, of course, can increase sales and client satisfaction. It's clear that if a more attractive waitress approaches you in a restaurant, it's pleasant for you to look at her, and you feel inclined to leave her a bigger tip. In general, such employees become more valuable to the company as well. Attractive people are often more self-confident, which can help them perform better in interviews, negotiate salaries, and generally build their careers. They understand their own worth. And then the fourth point is discrimination. That is, employers may consciously or even subconsciously prefer attractive candidates, which creates inequality in the labor market. And although the study by Hamermesh and Biddle has become a classic, I must mention its limitations. That is, firstly, there is of course the subjectivity of the assessment. The assessments of appearance by interviewers not only can be, but will inevitably be subjective. And they will also depend on cultural standards of beauty. What seems very attractive in one country may be valued less in another. The second point, the study shows a connection between attractiveness, beauty, and salary. But still, after does not necessarily mean as a result of. That is, it does not prove that it is specifically appearance, is the reason for higher incomes. Although, let's agree, this is not a surprising conclusion. And thirdly, there's this point about cultural differences. The data was collected in the USA and Canada, and the results may not always be applicable to other cultures, as it's clear that in India or China, appearance will be evaluated a bit differently. In general, it seems that the beauty premium is not a myth, but a real phenomenon that has serious consequences even for the labor market and for society as a whole. However, it's important to remember that appearance is not the only factor for success. So why do we tend to trust attractive people more? Attractive people are often perceived as more honest and trustworthy. This is supported by research in the field of psychology. For example, in 2006, the results of an interesting experiment conducted at Heriot-Watt University were published. It showed that people tend to trust attractive strangers more, even if they have no objective reasons to do so for this purpose. Robert Wilson and Catherine Eckel aim to determine whether a person's physical attractiveness affects how much others trust them. In situations involving risk and uncertainty, the main question was as follows. Are people inclined to trust attractive strangers even if they have no objective reasons for doing so? The experiment was based on the trust game. This type of game, known as a trust game, is often used in economic and psychological studies. Studies to examine people's behavior in social interaction contexts. Participants were divided into two groups. These are investors and trustees. The investors received a certain amount of money, for example, $10, and had to decide how much of this amount they were willing to give to the trustee. The trustees received the transferred money, which was then multiplied several times, let's say 3 times. And after that, they decided on their own how much of the amount to return to the investor. So the key point of the experiment was that investors saw photos of the trustees before making a decision. These photos were previously rated by an independent group of people on an attractiveness scale. Thus, the researchers could track whether attractiveness affects the amount investors are willing to entrust. And the results turned out to be truly impressive. Those who were chosen by investors more often trusted attractive trustees, giving them more money. And even when the trustees returned a smaller amount than expected, investors still continued to trust them. More than the less attractive ones, this effect persisted even in situations where participants knew that their decisions could affect their own financial outcome. Researchers explained this phenomenon in terms of evolutionary psychology and social stereotypes. Firstly, of course, it's the same halo effect again. Attractive people are more often perceived as more honest, kind, and competent, even if there is no objective evidence of this. Secondly, these are evolutionary mechanisms. From an evolutionary perspective, people may subconsciously associate attractiveness with good genes and health, making them more reliable partners in social interactions. And thirdly, of course, social programming. The fact is that from childhood we get used to the idea that attractive children more often receive positive feedback and attention, which forms a stereotype in us that they are better. And the experiment, although it turned out to be interesting and indicative, still needs to be considered with the understanding that the participants knew their decisions had no long-term consequences and this could have influenced their decisions. Once, I made a video about incels where it was concluded that often the reason for guys' loneliness is not their appearance, but certain beliefs that are simply in their heads. After all, most people are so-called normies, that is, people with normal, quite average appearances. Deviations for better or worse are rather exceptions. But no. One denies that there are those who are lucky or unlucky enough to become such exceptions. And these people can undeservedly receive privileges or, on the contrary, be less successful. And today, as you understood, we are talking specifically about privileges. Probably, there would be no need to conduct special studies to show that attractive people have more opportunities for romantic relationships. And yet such studies exist. One study, published in Evolution and Human Behavior in 2006, showed that attractive people more often receive date proposals and are perceived as more suitable partners. Probably to us. The researchers didn't say anything new with these experiments, but there is still the point that very attractive people are feared, and therefore, despite seeming to receive more attention, they might actually receive even less. And here is the flip side of the privilege of beauty. Surprisingly, it does exist. Attractive people can face, and indeed do face, envy, stereotypes, and some unrealistic expectations. For example, they might be perceived as less competent in intellectual professions. It's believed that they achieved success only because of their appearance, like through sleeping their way to the top. And this phenomenon is known as the blonde effect. But still, there are more advantages, let's be honest. That's why people go to great lengths to be more attractive, dress nicely, style their hair, and take care of themselves. And you know what? Scientists no longer rely solely on subjective notions of attractiveness, but have dissected in detail, literally down to the bones, what exactly people find beautiful. And what they don't? Imagine you're looking at a photo of a stranger. Just a few seconds and you've already decided whether you like this person or not. But what exactly makes us consider some faces beautiful and others not so much? It turns out that our brain evaluates beauty according to certain rules that are ingrained in us by evolution and culture. Let's figure out which facial features most people subconsciously find the most attractive and what scientists have to say about it. For example, symmetrical facial features appear more beautiful to us, and there is even a scientific explanation for this. The thing is, symmetry is associated with good genes and health. For example, a study published in the Journal of Comparative Psychology showed that people with more symmetrical facial features are perceived as healthier and consequently more attractive. In other words, symmetry is an indicator that the organism developed without serious disruptions. Moreover, an oval face shape is considered one of the most beautiful. This is because an oval face has balanced proportions, which are even subconsciously associated with youth and harmony. Next, the average proportions. Have you ever noticed that the most beautiful faces often seem unremarkable? And this is not by chance. Experts say that faces close to average proportions are perceived as more attractive. And this phenomenon is known as the averageness effect. Scientists from the University of Texas conducted a study in which they created averaged faces, meaning they combined the facial features of many, many people. And it turned out that such faces were rated as more beautiful even than the original ones. Perhaps this explains the desire of girls to use surgeries and cosmetology to create that very Instagram face. They manage to do it so skillfully that it's not always possible to distinguish them after the procedures. But surely you've seen pictures on the internet where there are 10 to 15 girls who look very similar to each other, and it's really hard to tell them apart. Big eyes are one of the most universal features that people find attractive. This is because big eyes are associated with youth and innocence. And as we age, the skin around the eyes loses elasticity, making the eyes appear smaller and the eyelids heavier. Here's another study that showed people with big eyes are perceived as more friendly and open, Moreover, an expressive gaze, emphasized by dark eyelashes and eyebrows, enhances this effect. So, manufacturers of children's toys, anime artists, creators of social media filters know very well what people like and make great use of it. Next, high cheekbones. This is a sign of health. This is another feature associated with attractiveness, especially in women. Researchers from the University of St. Andrews explain that high cheekbones are a sign of a good level of estrogen, which again indicates fertility and health. So again, you see everything here is about evolution, and this makes such features particularly attractive. From that very evolutionary point of view, full lips are also considered one of the most attractive features. This is because lips become thinner with age, and therefore, full lips are associated with youthfulness. Smooth, even skin without wrinkles and pigmentation spots is also one of the most important signs of youth. And what is beauty to us if not youth? This is exactly what most people strive for so intensely. And do you know why people with smooth skin are perceived as more beautiful? Again, because with age the skin loses collagen and elastin, which leads to the appearance of wrinkles and unevenness. And all that stuff. Thick, well-defined eyebrows. So girls, why do we tint our eyebrows? Because thick eyebrows, once again, are what make the face look youthful. And with age, eyebrows become thinner and sparser, which is why thick eyebrows are associated with youth. And that's why women with more expressive eyebrows are perceived as more attractive and even friendly. Well, a smile is probably the most universal feature that makes a face beautiful. Smiling people are perceived by us as more friendly and open. Moreover, a smile is associated with positive emotions, making it a powerful tool in social interactions. But we do lack positive emotions, don't we? Understanding which facial features we consider beautiful helps us understand various enhancement measures. They are based on deeply rooted evolutionary mechanisms that influence our behavior, partner choices, and even career success. That's why women ask cosmetologists to inject a little hyaluronic acid into their lips and cheekbones, a bit of Botox into their forehead, to do a mask, tint their eyebrows, extend their hair, eyelashes, and healthy teeth enhance and rejuvenate anyone. And do you remember Demi Moore's character in the movie Disclosure? A woman of stunning beauty. But how she longed to become younger to secure media contracts and the public's love. So why not just inject fillers and apply Botox? Why did that seem insufficient to her? Why did she sacrifice herself by participating in a terrifying, albeit questionable, experiment? I think we all constantly see girls who have plumped their lips and extended their nails. So why didn't Demi Moore from Disclosure do that? What's the problem? Because the enhancements of many women look not natural. They are noticeable. And that is off-putting. And when facial features become too perfect, they also lose their individuality. People tend to prefer faces with small, imperfections that make them unique. A bump on the nose, a small mole. All of this is attractive. When a face becomes polished, it loses its naturalness and starts to resemble a mask. So these small features make a person memorable and add character. If you overdo it with Botox, the face will lose its emotional expressiveness. People with frozen faces are perceived as less sincere and friendly. After all, facial expressions are an important means of communication. When a face loses the ability to express emotions, it causes discomfort to those around. Therefore, a girl shouldn't overdo it with Botox, although in itself it can be very, very useful. One of the most common problems with artificial beauty is the disruption of the natural proportions of the face. For example, overly large lips or excessively high cheekbones. They look unnatural. And people who deviate from average proportions are perceived by us as less attractive. Beauty is harmony. And when one feature becomes too dominant, it disrupts the balance. And when a person undergoes too many procedures, it can lead to the effect of an overdone face. There was even a study conducted in Toronto which showed that people who overuse cosmetic procedures often look even older than those who prefer, the so-called natural approach. This is a study from 2011, and I will further discuss what methods are currently available. And the conclusions of this study are related to the fact that excessive intervention can disrupt the natural structure of the skin and tissues. And this is, the story about those stars of the past who, after surgeries and cosmetic manipulations, didn't look younger and better, but just, caricature-like. And all because the efforts were too noticeable. Our brain is evolutionarily programmed to look for signs of health, and people subconsciously prefer faces that look natural rather than perfect. Artificial beauty very often disrupts these natural signals, and therefore causes subconscious rejection. Artificial beauty is often associated with vanity, with superficiality. Again, scientists claim that people who change their appearance too much, that is, those whose efforts to improve themselves are too noticeable, are perceived as less reliable and sincere. They do not inspire trust, and vice versa. Those who look natural and yet youthful seem quite virtuous. They supposedly lead a healthy lifestyle, do not misbehave. Look, there's Paris Hilton and there's Britney Spears. They used to party together in clubs, drink all sorts of things, indulge. But Paris, thanks to more successful plastic surgery, cosmetology, or whatever it may be, she looks more preserved, as if she has sinned less. And now, after we figured out why people want to be young and beautiful, how many perks it gives, and even looked at which specific facial features need to be improved to become more attractive, let's look at the class nature of beauty. And I don't mean what Chernyshevsky talked about in his dissertation, The Aesthetic Relations of Art to Reality. He explained there how belonging to different classes changes the understanding of beauty. And Chernyshevsky, by the way, was one of the first to link aesthetics with class relations. He argued that the concept of beauty depends on a person's social status. For example, the aristocracy sees beauty in luxury and sophistication, while ordinary people see it in simplicity and utility. This is true, of course. But today is the age of the internet, and girls of all ages, regardless of income, strive to look like models from social media and various influencers. Let's be honest. Girls want to look like Hailey Bieber or Kim Kardashian not because they have perfect appearances. They are beautiful, yes, but first and foremost they are Bieber and Kardashian. People want to have a lifestyle like theirs. They want to be successful, rich, and therefore happy. And the lower the financial level of the girls, but we are mostly talking about young women here, the less they strive for proportions. They want to look expensive. And the desire to show belonging to a higher social class is ultimately driven by the pursuit of happiness. And this includes everything, from finding a good husband and making friends envious on social media to job hunting. Everyone has their own way. And in general, it's this desire to show, look how much I'm worth. Everything is used. First, they apply false eyelashes, nails, hair. If finances allow, they enhance lips and cheekbones. And it's usually noticeable. But not only because the stylist believes that the bigger, the better, but also because the girls themselves don't want to pay for something that's not obvious. Another point is the effect of getting used to it. They slightly enhance their lips, walk around for a couple of months and get used to their reflection in the mirror. It already seems like it's not enough, and it feels like more needs to be added. Just a little, just a little. The lips have become bigger, and now it seems like the cheekbone is not noticeable against their background. That needs a little enhancement too. But these manipulations do not add youthfulness or freshness. They make the face look artificial. I've already mentioned the artificiality. But if you have money, the modern industry is ready to offer a huge range of services. These include 5-step home care routines and thousands of hardware techniques to suit any taste. They will remove wrinkles, acne, dark circles under the eyes, even out skin tone, and erase blood vessels. Want to restore the skin's radiance and moisture? Please, there are injection techniques. And it will look natural. And the girl will remain herself, just a better version of herself, like in that very substance. And for those who are older, there's the heavy artillery, plastic surgery. And here again, it's about money. The canonical examples now are Christina Aguilera and Lindsay Lohan. Look at how they have transformed. They look just like they did 20 years ago. Which is very good. And there's no doubt that these 40, 50-year-old Hollywood beauties have invested a fortune in their appearance. It's not just one procedure or operation. It's the combined effort of many specialists, a whole team of specialists, but we will never know exactly which ones. They are like witches. With a wave of a magic wand, they suddenly became young. The manipulations of cosmetologists and doctors are not visible. Precisely because we don't understand what exactly they did, it seems to us that it's the result of proper nutrition, daily routine, and exercise. That is, we already attribute virtue to them just based on their appearance, thus surrounding them with the halo effect. It's not for nothing that I told you about this at the beginning. This is the highest level of skill, like a vampire, to remain 20 years old for decades. And the 20-year-olds themselves, when they see Aguilera, who at 40 looks, well, often better than they do, they start to get nervous. They besiege the golden oaked apple, buying up rejuvenating serums. TikTok is filled with skincare videos from 13-year-old girls. Really, from 13-year-olds? In general, the more powerful the beauty industry for the wealthy becomes, impressing us with the youthfulness of mature stars, the more profitable it is for manufacturers of everything related to beauty. The global beauty market is experiencing a boom, and its growth does not slow down even amid economic problems and instability. People are willing to, so to speak, invest in their appearance, whether it's buying creams, visiting cosmetologists, or undergoing plastic surgery. And let's analyze how this industry is developing, who its main consumers are, and how much they are willing to pay for beauty. Overall, the global cosmetics market is valued at $500 billion. These are the figures for 2023, and it continues to grow at an average rate of 4 to 5% per year. The main growth drivers are the expansion of the consumer age category, the involvement of men in personal care, the increasing demand for natural and organic cosmetics, and the popularity of brands offering personalized solutions. The average check depends on the region and product category naturally. And for example, in the US, the average bill for premium cosmetics is $50–100, while let's say in Asian countries, consumers can spend $20–50 on mass market products, on mass market, and $50 on mass market. The main consumers are women aged 18 to 45, although the male segment, men's cosmetics and grooming, are growing at a very fast pace. And the age of girls who are interested in cosmetics is constantly decreasing. That is, if earlier women started using cream at 40, then at 30, now again we see those very TikTokers who at 13 are already removing wrinkles or imperfections. And the market for cosmetic procedures, I'm talking about injections, laser treatments, peels and so on, is valued at $60 billion and is growing even faster than cosmetics by 8 to 10% annually. And the most popular services here are Botox and fillers. And why? Well, because they are the most affordable, the effect is obvious and recovery is quite fast. And here the main consumers are women aged 30–55, who want to preserve their youth, obviously, without surgical intervention. And yet, this cosmetology is also getting younger every year. Already at 18, many are using services like Botox, hyaluronic acid, and much more. But next we have the plastic surgery market. It's $50 billion a year, with a 6 to 7% growth each year. What are the most popular procedures? Well, I probably won't surprise you, at least this information didn't surprise me. It's liposuction, breast augmentation, rhinoplasty, and blepharoplasty, which is eyelid correction. And the average check here is naturally higher. So if it's liposuction, it's about $3,000 to $7,000. Breast augmentation, $5,000 to $10,000. Rhinoplasty, around $4,000 to $8,000. Well, in short, it's quite a lot of money. And you know, I don't want you to think that I'm against plastic surgery, cosmetics, or cosmetology. On the contrary, I'm even subscribed to some surgeons on a banned network who show before and after surgery results. And they impress me so much that I'm sure many procedures truly make people not only more beautiful, but also more confident in themselves, and as a result, generally happier overall. And my task here is to examine the economic and even psychological components of the industry's growth rather than to evaluate the actions of plastic surgery clients. Please understand that correctly. So women remain the primary consumers, accounting for about 80% of the market. They most often seek skincare products, anti-aging procedures, and plastic surgeries. And the male segment is growing rapidly, especially in the area of skincare and the most minimally invasive procedures, such as injections. Men are increasingly starting to invest, using the word invest, in their appearance. Well, okay, let's say here that they are investing in their appearance. And why is that? Again, thanks to the so-called halo effect. Because more attractive, youthful, and fit men are again attributed with that very virtue, and they remain more competitive in the job market. If 30 years ago men's cosmetics were limited to cologne, shaving cream maybe, today it is a full-fledged market segment. Well, I'm not just talking about beard cosmetics, but also regular skincare creams. And by the way, statistics in 2023 showed that the global men's cosmetics market is valued at $78 billion and is even continuing to grow. I already told you earlier that Gen Z looks at 40-year-old influencers who, thanks to money, time, filters, and actually Photoshop, look, well, just amazing. So the youth look and see more and more flaws in themselves. They find wrinkles around their eyes and try to fill them in. If previously people aged 18–25 were not considered special clients by cosmetic manufacturers, now everything has changed. Getting younger and younger. People, as I already mentioned, are interested in skincare and preventive procedures. In short, all market segments are getting younger and younger. And not only are they getting younger, by the way, because people are living longer and the focus on self-care has shifted to an older audience. For example, a Mintel report states that 40% of women over 55 regularly use anti-aging products. And since we are talking about the global beauty industry here, it makes sense to mention regional characteristics as well. The leader in market volume, especially in the segment of premium cosmetics and plastic surgery, is still North America. However, Asia is growing the fastest, particularly China, South Korea, and Japan. In South Korea, for example, plastic surgery has almost become the norm. In Europe, there is a high demand for natural and organic cosmetics, and anti-aging procedures are the most popular. In the Middle East, interestingly, the popularity of plastic surgery is also growing, especially rhinoplasty or nose jobs. But when I read this information, it seems like it's mainly due to Dubai, right? Everyone is rushing there to have these surgeries done. Overall, the global beauty market is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Social networks such as the banned Instagram and TikTok have changed how consumers choose products. According to research, 49% of consumers, which is almost half, trust recommendations from bloggers and influencers. And this has led to the popularity of niche brands that are actively promoted through social media. And it's clear that many products, specialists, and goods are sold specifically through social networks and individual bloggers. So beauty, as we have seen, is not just an abstract concept. It is a powerful social tool that influences many things, from career opportunities to personal relationships. And yet, behind this privilege of beauty lie complex mechanisms related to evolution, culture, economy, and the halo effect. The beauty premium, trust in attractive people, empirically demonstrated by researchers, all of this confirms that appearance plays a significant role in our lives, despite everything. If in the past beauty was a genetic luck or a gift from the gods for someone, now it is an indicator of wealth and the amount of effort put in. Modern technologies allow us to achieve a better version of ourselves, but it is quite expensive. And for those who do not have truly large amounts of money, the industry will offer a million options for self-improvement. And the problem is that the desire to transform oneself into the image of a universal Instagram beauty makes girls look typical. And such an appearance looks, yes, well-groomed, but not natural. And this repels many people. After all, beauty devoid of character and emotional expressiveness loses its magic, so to speak. The beauty industry, which is valued at hundreds of billions of dollars, continues to grow, offering ever new ways to enhance appearance. But behind this lies not only the desire to be attractive, but also deeply social and psychological motives, the pursuit of success, recognition, and happiness. And the class divide makes itself felt in the realm of beauty as well. Wealthy people can already remain young for many years, eliciting admiration from others. You know, I can already imagine a dystopia where 20-year-old Bezoses and Elon Musks walk the earth, who are actually around 300 years old, while around them, generation after generation of aging hired workers make noticeable efforts to appear younger. Well, of course, it's almost a joke, but still, there's something to think about, wouldn't you agree? Goodbye, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to the private channels.